Hi there, Ayunni. My name is Ellen, and I'll be correcting this essay for you today. This is the essay about ex-criminals and if they're the best people to talk to young people about crime. Let's see what you had to say about this, okay? So, it is often argued that people who have been in prison to be the people to talk to teenagers regarding the dangers of committing a crime. I want to correct the grammar here. It is often argued that people who have been in prison are the best people to talk to teenagers regarding the dangers of committing a crime. However, I'm not entirely sure because you didn't include the actual task here. It's helpful if you do that because you want to avoid using the exact same language. I mean, you're supposed to paraphrase a little bit. So if we had that here, that would be helpful. But that would be a more correct representation of what the essay is asking you to say. But let's move on. So this is because most people believe that some people who have been in prison tend to become good citizens, plural, later in life. Okay, because it's people. It's not because they become one good citizen, but people become good citizens, plural. I would agree on the belief that people who have had the experience of living in prison to be a better person once they are out. All right, again, here I want to change some of the vocabulary, some of the grammar. I would agree with the belief that people who have had the experience of living in prison, I would agree with the belief that people who have had the experience of living in prison are better people once they are out. Okay, that would be more grammatically correct. So I like that you've included your position. Your position is clear, but your grammar needs a little bit of work. This is a relatively short paragraph. There's only 3 sentences, and yet each of those sentences had some errors in them. So this is what you want to be very, very careful about, okay? So let's move on. People who have been in prison, no comma here, so people who have been in prison have had the actual ideas and experience of living in a prison. All right, it's a little redundant, okay? So I would have changed this around a little bit. They have experienced every bittersweet moment, no S, in prison, which may be the reason they repented and started to become good people. When these people were put in prison, they had all the time to think and revisit their crimes or actions which led them to being sent to prison. They may have seen their friends in prison being punished for their crimes, and some were sentenced to death. From seeing all the consequences that their fellow criminals are getting, they may have had the time to think of what other things they could do instead of committing crimes. Hence, these people who have been to prison have a strong influence on, not to, the youth to make them known of the dangers of committing a crime. All right, I do want to fix the grammar in that last sentence. So they have a strong influence on the youth to make the dangers of committing a crime known. Okay. Um, this is okay. You really did you wrote a considerable amount. All right, that's for sure. And so we understand in this essay you talked a lot about the experiences that prisoners have in prison. All right, you talked about bittersweet moments. You said that they repent, they see their friends and what their friends go through, and that they've had time to think about how they can repent and lead a more um, appropriate life. You never really tell us why they would make the best people, though. I mean, we understand the experiences that these prisoners have, but you've talked about the topic, but not really. All right. So, in other words, you've just kind of skimmed it. You've kind of grazed the topic without really answering the question. So, okay, they have all the experiences, but how does this make them the best person? Like, how does this make them more appropriate than maybe other influences? So, when you call someone the best person to do something, there is this kind of implication that there's some sort of comparison happening. So why are they better than other people to do this particular job? Okay, you didn't really talk about that, and so, like I said, you skimmed the topic without really truly grasping it. All right, let's take a look at the next paragraph. However, not all criminals in the prison turn with no S here, out to be a better person when they are out. Some may still be the same and never repent. No ed. They may still be doing the same crimes they used to do. Hence, these people could have, hence, these people could influence, that's the right tense, teenagers commit more crimes. This could affect the teenagers. That's a little awkward. This could, let's do this. This could create a bad influence on teenagers and affect them. Okay, now this paragraph, Ayunni, is a little underdeveloped. And in fact, if you compare it to the previous paragraph, it's like half the length. So that's a sign for you that you really needed to go into more detail here. You don't need to be obsessive about this, but it is a good idea to have your paragraphs, your body paragraphs, relatively the same size, okay? To develop them relatively equally, all right? Again, not obsessively, don't count words or anything, but try not to have such a huge difference. So, but in general, I thought this was underdeveloped, okay? Let's move on. In a nutshell, I agree that people who have been in prison are the best people to talk to teenagers about the dangers of committing crimes. They have better insights of what it is like to live in prison, and they could be the best living testimonies of the experiences of being in prison without the. All right, that's fine. That's clear. So I think that I pretty much covered the areas that I think need a little work. It's primarily task response. It's the development and the how closely you actually stayed true to the question. Okay, that's where I think the biggest weakness in this essay was. As I also said, there's that problem of the underdevelopment in that second body paragraph. That definitely needed some work. So I think that what you need is a little assistance with structure. So if you understand the kind of elements and the structure that a good IELTS essay needs to have, then I think that will help you kind of stay on task and answer the question appropriately. Vocabulary was okay. I mean, you had a couple of really nice words there. There was also quite a bit of repetition, though. I mean, I want you to count in that second body paragraph just how many times you use the word prison. All right, just to give you an idea of what I mean here, look at this. Prison, 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 prison. So, I mean, that's a lot of prison. I know this essay is about prison. I understand that. But there are ways to talk about it without repeating the word quite so often. So that's another thing that I kind of want you to think about. All right. So now you're going to get a link in the email accompanying this video, and the link will give you some suggestions on how you can continue working with us. I would love to see you on the online course. I know you haven't taken IELTS before, and I think that this level of support and this level of structure will really help you. It'll give you all the tools you need, not just for task 2, but for task 1 as well. So I really want to recommend it to you because it'll totally take your writing to the next level. You'll be able to get the right structure, understand how to develop your essay, have some ideas about grammar, grammatical structures. So definitely look into that option. I look forward to working with you. I hope we can work together in the future, and I want to wish you lots and lots of luck.